Hello, Dr. Gagandeep is also joined. Good evening, Gagan. Once that YouTube link is created, we'll start.
Yeah, it's live, sir. YouTube link is live.
Live.
It is live, but Mansi still has not sent me that.
Yes, it
link.
is the YouTube link. I've sent it on National Brain Week group.
Okay, good, great. I received now. Okay, I think.
Vishram,
Yeah.
Vishram? Chandrasekhar, can you hear me? Sumit is going to send you the music played by the team in 15 minutes time. So when your next music session starts, you should play as and when you need that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. IN President also joined. So I think we can start now. Dear friends, good evening and welcome to this second session of National Brain Week. आज का जो सेशन है वो काफी स्पेशल है और आज के सेशन में जो स्पीकर्स हैं वो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है. वो खुद न्यूरोलॉजिस्ट है और रेगुलर एक्सरसाइज करते हैं, रेगुलर रनिंग करते हैं, तो वो आपको फर्स्ट लाइन एंड फर्स्ट हैंड एक्सपीरियंस बताएंगे. मैं आज के इस प्रोग्राम में आप सबको बहुत हार्दिक बधाइयाँ देता हूँ और वेलकम करता हूँ. इंडियन एकेडमी ऑफ न्यूरोलॉजी के प्रेसिडेंट डॉक्टर JM के मूर्ति आपके साथ है. डॉक्टर मूर्ति साहब बहुत बहुत वेलकम. पास्ट सेक्रेटरी डॉक्टर गगनदीप सिंह है, उनका भी बहुत स्वागत है इस प्रोग्राम में. प्रेसिडेंट इलेक्ट डॉक्टर निर्मल सूर्या है, डॉक्टर सूर्या का भी स्वागत. और जो स्पीकर्स हैं आज डॉक्टर सतीश कुमार और डॉक्टर जेकब जॉर्ज, डॉक्टर शांतला हेगड़े, उनका भी मैं तहे दिल से स्वागत करता हूं. और आज के जो चेयरपर्सन्स है डॉक्टर सूर्य कुमार शर्मा, उनको भी मैं वेलकम करता हूं. डॉक्टर सूर्य कुमार शर्मा अभी वो कंसल्टेंट न्यूरोलॉजिस्ट है और वो स्ट्रोक स्पेशलिस्ट भी है अपोलो हॉस्पिटल बेंगलोर में. और उन्होंने एक ट्रस्ट भी बनाया है जिसके वो फाउंडर ट्रस्टी है फॉर रूरल हेल्थ एंड एजुकेशन. आपने MD मेडिसिन और DM न्यूरोलॉजी किया है रामैया मेडिकल कॉलेज से और काफ़ी सारे अवार्ड्स मिले हैं. और आपका एरिया ऑफ इंटरेस्ट स्ट्रोक, पार्किंसन डिसीज, डिमाइलिटिंग डिसऑर्डर्स, न्यूरो इन्फेक्शंस है. हमारे जो दूसरे चेयर है वो है डॉक्टर अनुराधा. और अनुराधा वो न्यूरोलॉजिस्ट है, कंसल्टेंट न्यूरोलॉजिस्ट बेंगलोर में. और CMI हॉस्पिटल, एस्टर CMI हॉस्पिटल. और वो शी इज रियली मल्टी स्पेशलिस्ट यू कैन से, क्योंकि उनका इंटरेस्ट है, वो स्ट्रोक में स्पेशलिस्ट है, वो थ्रोम्बोलिसिस करते हैं, इपिलेप्सी की स्पेशलिस्ट है, वीडियो टेलीमेट्री और प्री सर्जिकल इवैल्यूएशन, then न्यूरोफिजियोलॉजी, न्यूरोपैथीज का भी उनका इंटरेस्ट है, फिर मूवमेंट डिसऑर्डर्स में इंटरेस्ट है, डीबीएस के लिए इवैल्यूएशन करते हैं और बोटॉक्स थेरेपी देते हैं. And she has also trained in headache and she had also training in pain management. So she is really a multi-specialist neurologist. तो डॉक्टर अनुराधा और डॉक्टर सूर्यनारायण, आप दोनों का स्वागत है. और आज का ये जो सेशन है उसमें आप, मुझे आशा है कि आप बहुत एंजॉय करेंगे. अभी आगे की प्रोसीडिंग करने के लिए मैं डॉक्टर सूर्यनारायण और डॉक्टर अनुराधा को हैंड ओवर करता हूं. आप सभी को फिर से एक बार वार्म वेलकम करके ये सेशन शुरू करते हैं. धन्यवाद.
Namaskar, respected chairman, respected president Dr. J.M. Murthy sir, President-elect Dr. Nirmal Surya sir, and the convener of today's National Brain Week session, Dr. Chandrasekhar Meshram sir, and all my colleagues and public audience. So welcome to today's seminar on exercise and brain health. So basically, we thank me and Anuradha thank the organizers for giving this opportunity to interact with all of you. Basically, why we are here today? We want to show that what we are doing as a Indian Academy of Neurology runners group, a fitness runners group है. इधर हम around 115 neurologists है, 115 neurologists. So everybody either they run, they walk, or they do triathlon, bicycle, cycle riding, swimming. We just started this group as a 5-member group in 2017. It was a very humble beginning for us. It was founded by Dr. Sudhir Kothari and others. And after Dr. Meenakshi Sundaram and Dr. Nirmal Surya joined, we had taken this group to a different level. Every year, to promote fitness in the neurologists, we are actually conducting different programs. Most important is we are doing a 1000K challenge, wherein we ask our members to at least run or walk 1000 kilometers in a year. We had an amazing response, I can say. Last year, dear friends, I can say confidently that as a group, we ran around 42,000 kilometers. So you can see a real transformation in the group members. I, being the convener of the group, I'm really proud of what the achievement, what our colleagues have done, especially Dr. Jacob Dar or Anuradha, who is one of the few women neurologists who are who have done maximum half marathons in the country. So even if you see Dr. Satish Kumar, he is one of the few neurologists who has run almost 4,000 kilometers in 100 days challenge. So, and if you see Dr. Jacob George, who is the first speaker of the today's session, he is a professor of neurology, but he is a professor in running. And when last week, when Dr. Nirmal Surya had called us the president-elect, and he said we have to start something for the National Brain Week. So we were just discussing. Initially, we thought we will do 1,000 kilometers challenge, but he said no, we will do a 3,000 kilometers challenge, wherein each members of the group will contribute at least their bit. We are 114 people here, and we should be able to complete that. So I'm really happy to tell you that yesterday was the first day. As a group, we have run around 384 kilometers. We are 114 members, and we commit in 7 days. We are actually going to complete around 3,000 kilometers. That is our commitment. Any public in this forum, they can join, they can run and send a link or send a message to the organizers. We will send the participation certificates. There is a separate email link, and they will provide that. And we are actually under the able leadership of Dr. Nirmal Surya. We are actually planning to do a IA and sports neurology subsection, wherein sports और fitness के लिए हम ज़्यादा importance देने का कोशिश कर रहा है अभी. So with this small introduction about our running group, today I invite our first speaker, Professor Jacob George. He is a senior professor and head of the Department of Neurology at Kottayam Medical College. He did his MBBS and MD from Pondicherry, and he did his DM Neurology from Sri Chitra Trivandrum. And now his areas of interest, actually he is a multifaceted personality. He has his special interest in neurootology, neuro-ophthalmology, and he does a lot of CPC and other. He's an invited faculty for various national and international forums. And he is actually, if you say 2017, he joined our group little late, but he picked up so well with his determination and perseverance. He has run around 6 full marathons, and till now he has run around 130 half marathons. So we'll give a big hand to Dr. Jacob George, and I invite you to start the session. Dr. Jacob George.
Surya, I am audible and visible?
Yeah, now you are.
Yes, sir.
Screen visible. Yeah.
Screen is
So,
visible. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is about exercise for the general public to be aware of. What all brain disorders can be prevented by regular exercise. There are 3 pillars of good health. One is sleep, second one is exercise, and the third one is the correct nutrition. Now all these 3 pillars work in harmony to give us good health. If any of these pillars is dysfunctional, our health also becomes dysfunctional. So the first important pillar is sleep. So everyone has to have a good night sleep, and children should sleep 9 to 11 hours a day. Adults should sleep about 7 to 9 hours at least, and older adults may sleep around 7 to 8 hours. So after a good night's sleep, when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you have to do is to not read newspaper or send good morning messages on WhatsApp. But the first thing you have to do is some physical activity. After your morning routine chores, and after having a glass of water or a coffee, you are supposed to do exercise. And there are 4 types of exercises. Basically, the first one is called the cardio or the aerobic exercise, which includes swimming, running, and cycling. And the second type of exercise is strength training, which to preserve our muscles in the body. We need to do strength training with either weights or body weights. The third type of exercise is the flexibility exercise, so that our joints remain flexible throughout our lifetime. And the fourth and the most important exercise, especially as we grow old, is balance exercises, so that we can prevent falls as we age. Now the diet part I'm not going, because there's another talk on diet by Dr. Chandrasekhar Meshram sir a few days from now. Now this talk is about the role of exercises in preventing brain disorders. I'll talk mainly about 3 disorders which can easily be prevented or altered by regular exercise. Now, the first one is regarding memory and dementia. Dementia means loss of memory. Now exercise transforms 2 important brain areas. The first area is called prefrontal cortex, which is the front part of our skull. It is called the prefrontal cortex. That part of the brain is very important area for attention, for concentration, to do multitasking activities, and also for planning our activities. So personality is decided by this area of brain, which is called the prefrontal cortex. Now, the second area of brain which is important is temporal, which is altered by exercise, the temporal lobe, which is just underneath the temporal part of just above the ears. Inside the skull, there's an area called the temporal lobe. Inside the temporal lobe, there's a part of the brain called hippocampus, which is also very important for memory. So these 2 areas, the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, these 2 areas are altered by exercise. Now, as you exercise, so many neurotransmitters and chemical substances, as well as growth factors, are produced, which help to revitalize these two parts of the brain, prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus. And it has been found in animal studies that the volume of the hippocampus, as well as the prefrontal cortex, and the synaptic connection, the connections between the cells in this area increase markedly by exercise. So, what is the use of this is that two of the most common dementias which we see, one is called Alzheimer's dementia, and the other one is called frontotemporal dementia, affect these areas of the brain. Alzheimer's dementia primarily starts in the hippocampus, and frontotemporal dementia starts in the prefrontal cortex. And these two areas are transferred by exercise. So, if you regularly exercise, it is not that you can prevent Alzheimer's dementia. Cognitive reserve, or the brain areas that resist these dementias, are enlarged, so that there will be a delay in the manifestation of these dementias. So even if a person has mild Alzheimer's dementia, if he regularly exercises, that sort of improves the function of the hippocampus. So these two dementias can be somewhat altered or delayed in onset by exercise. And exercise also reduces the stress, and it improves the sleep. It improves the mood of the person, and it also improves the pain threshold, because regular runners know that while running we have a lot of pain in muscles, and we are used to that. While running a full marathon, say after 30 minutes, the legs become painful, but marathoners still continue to run with the pain. So the pain threshold generally in runners is much higher than in the general population. So threshold for perception of pain also gets altered with regular running. So exercise is neuroprotective in the sense that physical activity at midlife is associated with a decreased risk of dementia and Alzheimer's dementia, especially in people who are genetically at risk. So there's a genetic factor called ApoE4. These people have more risk of Alzheimer's dementia. So if these people exercise regularly, the onset of Alzheimer's dementia can be delayed very much. So this is one aspect of protective aspect of exercise. The second important neurological disorder can be prevented by or altered by exercise is stroke. As you all know, stroke is an occlusion of the blood vessels supplying the brain, and there are many risk factors for stroke. The most important one being smoking, then diabetes, then hypertension, then high levels of blood cholesterol. And also another important factor for stroke is lack of physical activity or inactivity. That is also a high risk factor for stroke. So it has been shown in many studies, as many as 23 studies are there to prove the point that moderate or high levels of physical activity are associated with a reduced risk of all types of strokes. So the recommended dose of physical activity is 2.5 hours or 150 minutes of moderate or intense exercise every day to get this benefit. So exercise increases the blood flow to the brain. It also reduces weight. It improves blood pressure. It improves the cholesterol levels. It also improves the sugar levels. So all these are altered by exercise. So that reduces the risk of stroke. Now, another important aspect of stroke is called small vessel ischemic disease. That means there are some small vessels which perforate into the brain and supply the deeper parts of the brain. Now, as we age, as we grow old, there are three things that affect all individuals. One is the speed of cognition declines. That means our ability to multitask, our ability to respond fast to cognitive stimuli are decreased. Second thing is that many people, as they grow old, their balance declines and they tend to have more and more falls. And third thing which happens with aging is that we lose our ability to store urine for a long time. Say, for example, children can store without passing urine from morning to evening. Adults cannot store more than 6 hours or 8 hours. So this urinary storage capacity, the balance capacity, and the cognitive speed normally decreases with aging. And if you do MRI, in the brain, we'll see many white spots like this, which are referred to as white matter hyperintensities. These correlate with this aging correlates. That is, these three things will correlate with the white matter hyperintensities in the brain. Now, a recent study from Japan has proven this point that this white matter hyperintensities in the brain. That means cognitive speed decline, the balance decline and the urinary storage decline, these are reduced markedly if person walks more. So if people walk 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day, they have a very high, less number of white matter hyperintensities within the brain. So one way of preventing this age-related brain decline would be to walk at least 8,000 to 10,000 steps every day. Now, the third disease which can be altered to some extent by exercise is Parkinson's disease. Aerobic exercise shows immediate beneficial effects in Parkinson's disease, and it improves Parkinson's disease, as was told yesterday by Dr. Pramod Pal, is a disorder which is characterized by tremor and balance problems. And this disease is a gradually progressive disease. And this disease, the progression of the disease can be slowed down somewhat if a person exercises regularly. So exercise improves motor function, improves balance, and improves gait in Parkinson's. So with this, I'll stop. I just want to convey the message that these three neurological disorders are the main disorders which are altered by regular running. One is memory and dementia can be altered. Secondly, Parkinson's disease patients do well. Stroke can be prevented, as well as age-related brain function decline can also be prevented by regular exercise. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Jacob George, for that wonderful presentation. He rightly mentioned that he highlighted that exercise is very important. If you see the risk of stroke, risk of Parkinson's disease, the progression of Parkinson's disease definitely can be prevented if somebody does regular exercise every day. It can be running, it can be any other form of exercise, even a brisk walk itself, like especially patients who cannot run because of their physical disability. They can do a brisk walk, and that we can actually, that can help. With this, I, hand over the podium to my co-chair, Dr. Anuradha, to introduce Dr. Satish Kumar.
Yeah, before
Yes.
Dr. Anuradha takes over,
Yes,
I
sir.
think डॉक्टर जेकब जॉर्ज ने बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट मैसेज दिया है सबको कि रेगुलर एक्सरसाइज करना है. 3 पिलर्स है हेल्थ के. एक तो गुड स्लीप, बहुत अच्छा नींद होना चाहिए, शांत निद्रा. दूसरा डाइट इज इम्पोर्टेंट, और तीसरा एक्सरसाइज. तो हमने जो इस साल का जो थीम है कि मेरा स्वास्थ्य मेरी जिम्मेदारी, और इसमें प्रिवेंट करना है, अपने को डिसीज से दूर रहना है. तो डिसीज से दूर रहना है तो एक्सरसाइज बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. डाइट के बारे में हम चर्चा करेंगे 23 तारीख को, मगर एक्सरसाइज के बारे में जो भी एक्सरसाइज आपको होते हैं, आप योगा करो, वॉकिंग करो, साइकिलिंग करो, रनिंग करो, जो भी एक्सरसाइज आपको पॉसिबल होती है, अच्छा लगता है. जैसे डॉक्टर जेकब जॉर्ज रनर है, मैं रोज 7 किलोमीटर 8 किलोमीटर वॉक करता हूं. तो कुछ लोग साइकिलिंग करते हैं, कुछ लोग घर के टेरेस पे साइकिलिंग करते हैं. तो जहां भी आपको पॉसिबल है, जो भी एक्सरसाइज है, वो एक्सरसाइज करना बहुत जरूरी है. और एक्सरसाइज रेगुलर करने से आपका मेमोरी इंप्रूव होगा, आपको पैरालिसिस या स्ट्रोक की जो रिस्क है वो कम हो जाएगी. और तीसरा, डिसीज जैसे पार्किंसन डिसीज है, उसके जो सिम्टम्स है वो कम हो जाएंगे. तो ये 3 चीजें, और ये 3 डिसीज के लिए एक्सरसाइज का इंपॉर्टेंस, और ओवरऑल ब्रेन हेल्थ के लिए एक्सरसाइज बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ये 3 डिसीज के लिए भी हेल्प करेगा, मगर बाकी ब्रेन के फंक्शनिंग के लिए भी एक्सरसाइज बहुत हेल्प करेगा. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद डॉक्टर जेकब जॉर्ज. नाउ आई हैंड ओवर द माइक टू डॉक्टर अनुराधा to carry out further proceedings.
Thank you, sir. Okay. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Satish, who is a good friend of mine. He's a renowned neurologist with around 11 years of experience. He's currently working as a senior neurophysician in Gleneagles Global's Hospital and Health City in Chennai. He has completed his DM neurology from a prestigious institute, that is PGI Chandigarh. He's been awarded the best outgoing student for MD medicine from GSME Medical College, Kanpur. He is institutional in starting a stroke center in Fortis Malar Hospital in Chennai. He has immense interest also in epilepsy, and he's been working and managing comprehensive epilepsy care under the leadership of Dr. Dinesh Naik in Chennai. He has expertise in transcranial Doppler applications, a stroke intervention, and various cerebrovascular diseases. He has published his articles in various journals, and he has also authored few chapters in the textbooks. He is been a very regular runner, and he's been inspiration to many of us in our group. He recently has run about 4,500 kilometers in 100 days, in a 100 days challenge. He has finished around 16 to 17 half marathons and run about 32 kilometer challenge that we call as 20 milers. So I hand over the mic to Dr. Satish.
Thank you, Anuradha, for the nice introduction. Hope I am audible.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I will just screen share. Is it visible, my screen?
Yes, yes, it
Okay.
is visible.
Thank you, sir.
You can go in the slide. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you, IAN office bearers, to give me an opportunity and to talk about on this Brain Week about the importance of health and exercise. And thanks Anuradha, Dr. Jacob Judge, and Dr. Surya to be with us. See, this is a very interesting talk. We can keep talking for many days about this. There are a lot of questions should be asked. I think I'll briefly touch upon what we are going to learn from this small awareness talk. See, we all know it can prevent many diseases, as rightly told by Dr. Jacob sir about it. He talked about neurological disorders, most commonly many non-communicable diseases, say whether it is a cancer, whether it is a diabetes, whether it is heart attacks. It can prevent and stop so many disorders. So this is the only primary prevention effort to reduce heart attacks and strokes than any other interventions, like so many. If you take many medications to prevent these disorders, so the primary prevention comes from physical activity. It's not only about our lack of diseases, it's all about how to keep your mental health in control. So we are now facing COVID situations, a lot of suicides, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. So exercise helps in controlling all these disorders. For the kids and young adults and young adolescents, it improves the learning, it improves the memory. Dr. Jacob has told about the more you do exercise, the lot of volume of hippocampus, which is the important seat and center of learning and memory, improves. Not only it improves physical fitness, it improves the personality, it improves the development, both in adults and even in young children. If you start walking from the young age group, it improves your developments. It improves overall well-being. So that is what the introduction. And we all know that out of 1 in 4 have hypertension, like 1 in 4 adults still do not meet the global recommended levels of physical activity per week. What is it? We are going to come up in the next few slides. And having said, 5 million deaths a year can be averted if the global population was more physically active. And there is 20 to 30% increased risk of death for those who are sedentary lifestyle than those people who are at least physically more active. So what do you mean by health and what do you mean by exercise? So health, as WHO rightly say, it is not only absence of disease or infirmity. That means it is not only the absence of disease which is called as health. It is defined as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. So these 3 important points are important for a person to be healthy. And what is physical activity? Physical activity is an innate, inborn character of any living being, whether it is a human being, whether it is an animal. Each and every living person, living animal should keep moving on than any non-moving objects. So there are, as already put on, there are types of aerobic, cardiovascular, and there are the muscle strengthening, yoga and flexibility, and then strength balance exercise. So there are various types of physical activity, whether we call it as a walking or a jogging, cycling, some recreational sports, some do surfing, this can be done at any level of skill. You don't need a complete competence. You can start slow and can gradually build up your level of skill, and you should enjoy those physical activity by every one of us. So those who are not physically inactive, where you whatever you the energy consumed by you by eating is almost equivalent, and you tend to put on more weight and more diseases in the future. So these people are called couch potatoes, sitting in the office, not even moving. They use lifts, they use cars, and they eat all junk foods, and they don't sleep. So all the three pillars are under jeopardies, and you invite trouble, and that's why health is gone, and you invite disorders. And these are all called sedentary lifestyle, so it's not good, and it is not recommended for physically active persons. And as rightly told that there are so many non-communicable diseases, whether it is a heart-related ailments, cardiac failure, heart attacks, strokes, diabetes can be prevented, hypertension can be prevented, so many lung disorders. So whether it is allergy versus any chronic lung conditions can be prevented. Even asthmatic people should start doing some basic breathing or pranayama exercise to improve your lung conditions. We can prevent cancer. So exercise is the only primary prevention of cancer. So if you have anybody in the family who has a risk of cancer, please educate them to go for physical activity. But the concept nowadays, like even in majority of the runners, so there is one condition called polarization of physical activity. What they know, so they wake up in the morning, go and hit either the gym or go and hit a cycle, start running for 1 hour a day, and they feel that the day is done, and they are very happy because they done physical activity, and then the rest of the day they will be sitting in front of the desktop like an office work, or even for the doctors who are sitting in front of patients, they didn't even sometimes keep physical activity on the move. So each and every day, the steps, the movements, the physical calories burnt should be distributed throughout the day. It should not be polarized to one part of the day. So this is totally not advantageous for cardiovascular health as well as for general health well-being. So as already told, there are two types of exercise. Primarily, exercise comes under aerobic and muscle strengthening. And obviously, there are some balancing and yoga flexibility exercise also important. So we will come upon that. So what is moderate aerobic exercise and what is vigorous exercise? So for example, running, jogging, swimming, laps, a lot of laps in the swimming, playing a tennis, taking a cycling up the hill, and even playing a basketball. So these are all very lot of high intensity energy is spent. You breathe faster, your heart rate worsens. You can't even talk while doing this activity. So this is called vigorous intense cardiovascular activity or aerobic activity. And the other part is a moderate one where you tend to do activity where the heart rate and the breathing is faster, but you still can able to carry a conversation like a little walk while talking. So there are the intensity is moderate, it's not very severe. So the guideline says to become physically active, to be fit, and you can want to stop so many disorders related to health, you should do at least 75 minutes in a week of vigorous intensity exercise, double the time, like 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise in a week, divided by, you can divide the days, like you can do 3 days in a week, sometimes some people do 5 days in a week. It's up to their own choice. So at least the total cumulative exercise should come around 75 minutes of vigorous intensity cardiovascular activity a week and 150 minutes for moderate exercise. So in layman terms, vigorous intensity exercise is you puff and pant. You can't even talk while you're doing those activity, like when you are running, when you are doing cycling severely. But in the moderate aerobic activity or a moderate cardiovascular training, still you can, it makes you breathe harder, but still you can able to carry the conversation. So this is what the guideline says. So to prevent so many disorders of health related disabilities and disorders, you should be physically active. When you talk about cardiovascular activity or an aerobic activity, at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise, 75 minutes of vigorous aerobic activity. So vigorous running comes under vigorous activity. A small walk comes under moderate intensity exercise. You can divide into 3 days or 5 days, depends upon your convenience. On top of that, apart from this aerobic activity, you also need some muscle strengthening activities at least 2 days per week. Whether you hit the gym and do some muscle flexion exercise, you have to do so much of strengthening of other upper arm, upper body, lower body, and abdominal exercise to maintain physical fitness, reduce your weight, stay fit, and you have to maintain your balance. This is the same for everywhere. As previously told, sleep. Children need a lot of sleep. The more you grow older, you tend to reduce your sleep intensity, and people tend to wake up in after 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the night. But this is the same amount of recommendations like what I told: 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise or 75 minutes of vigorous aerobic activity exercise person, but always it varies in different ages. If you talk about less than 5 years, they can be more active, like you can do at least 180 minutes of activity, moderate activity, and severe vigorous intensity activities can be up to 60 minutes. But it should be compensated by at least to 10 to 13 hours of good quality sleep and good diet. Adults, we talk about the you can't do less than that. You can't do more activity also, because it is counterproductive. You will get sometimes injury if you do a continuous vigorous intensity exercise. You may get cramps, you may get breathing disturbances, another thing. So when you are starting in the beginning, you start slow, gradually increase your cardiovascular fitness, learn from your activities, including your heart rate, including your VO2 oxygen capacities, and then slowly increase your duration of exercise. If the elderly is same as adults, but they should be more concentrating on multi-component of exercise that includes maintaining the balance, because they tend to have more falls. They have to improve their core muscular strength by doing some weight training and prevent osteoporosis. Pregnant woman. So there is a myth that once a woman get conceived, she should be careful, because there are chances of miscarriage. They should not move, they should not do work, and they should keep their days spent more of than as a sedentary time. But that is not correct. So there should do at least not a vigorous intensity exercise, at least a very low to moderate intensity aerobic activity, coupled with some small muscular strengthening activities of equivalent to 150 minutes per week. But if you, there are people who can still ask questions. I had stroke, I had cancer, I had lung disorders, I have diabetes and kidney disease. Should I still do physical activity? Yes, obviously indicated to prevent further other disorders to come up in your life. Even if you want to improve from these disorders, you should do the basic recommended physical activity of both moderate and vigorous intensity exercise if you can do. It's not mandatory, but if you still able to explore your options of whether you can able to do vigorous activity as well as moderate intensity exercise. It's not only running, it's not only walking. You can have various playful recreational sports. You can do playing badminton, playing tennis, and other things. But most importantly, when you have a disease, you should also concentrate on maintaining your uh, posture, maintaining your balance, maintaining preventing falls, and also strength training to prevent osteoporosis and bone health. We discuss about brain disorders. It can reduce 40%, 30% mortality overall. So there is a less chance of early death, less chance of heart attack, less chance of becoming obese, and metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is a disease where people have hypertension, high cholesterol, they have diabetes, and they have the abdominal girth. We call it as obesity. So that constellation of symptoms puts under called metabolic syndrome. If you have a metabolic syndrome, the chance of cancer, cardiovascular heart attacks, strokes, even dementia is very high, and it can prevent 40% of diabetes, and the diabetes control is very good. And there are so many runners who talks that I have skipped my diabetes drugs, I have skipped my cholesterol drugs, I have stopped taking my antihypertensives when they go into this physical activity. It prevents cancer. So many cancers are enlisted here. Almost all the forms of cancers are prevented by doing a good physical activity. Not only it reduces weight, maintains weight, it improves your muscle mass, it improves your skeletal health. More often, it has a cosmetic effect. You can feel younger, you can reverse your aging. Not only physically, you have a lot of mental capabilities, like you can do multitasking, you can be more smarter, you can avoid anxiety, depression, so many other diseases. And more important, you become more and more smarter because it improves your memory. So very briefly about walking, because majority of the people who not able to do a high intensity exercise are believing in walking. It has 7 benefits. It improves your confidence because you know that you are doing a physical activity. It improves your energy performance throughout the day and stamina. Mentally very active. Good amount of, you can maintain a level of physical fitness, like you may good good you may feel good, you may look good. It can prevent all the diseases like what we have discussed before. Improves your learning capabilities and concentration and memory at work, as well as for the children while in the school going age and college going age, they improves your memory. It increases the life expectancy, so it can avoid early death. And if those people who are having risk of dementia, cancer, and Parkinson disease, it helps. Now comes to the crux of the talk, how to reverse aging. I think among all the discussions we had, sleep, diet, and exercise, if you do more often a regular training of how to run carefully in a longer duration of time, with a good diet and a good sleep, if you can avoid many of the diseases, you can reverse your risk of having dementia, risk of having stroke. And as Dr. Professor Jackaj was told about small vessel things, where you can tend to produce many silent strokes, damaging your brain, leading on to faults, leading on to memory disturbances, and you may look slower and aged. So, so you may look at least 10 years, a decade younger by doing a high intensity exercise called running. This is a diagram which shows that each and every minute duration of exercise, even if you go for a 5 kilometer run, your mood is elevated, you are pumped up, you are charged on the day, you are mentally relaxed. After 24 hours, you are smarter, you are in good control of time, and after a month, you learn very quickly, and you tend to inspire others. So we talked about Dr. Suryanarayan Sharma talked about when we started 2017, 5 people joined the group. Now we have 150 people among the neurologists who are physically well active, and majority of them have converted themselves into athletes. It breaks the habits, bad habits. You sleep earlier, you don't drink too much, you don't eat too much, you don't smoke, because you need to maintain your running skills all the time. So you become more and more energetic. After a year or so, you become more stronger, you look good, and your spirits are higher. You see, at the age of 25 years, you look more younger, your aging becomes slower, you will live longer, and you are living your life to the fullest. Yoga. Today in the newspaper, the central government has announced yoga in national sports, and there are going to create competitions of various level of yoga and its exercise skills. You can read here, not only it improves flexibility and balance, it improves each and every health benefits, whether it is the brain, whether it is in the joint, whether it is in the skin, whether it is in the immunity, so many, whether it is in the sleep problems, memory problems, anxiety. It brings harmonious to life. So there are, it's completely amazing. The yoga can give you extra benefits apart from when you do an aerobic activity. So aerobic activity, strength training by using some core exercise and as well as gym exercise. And this flexibility exercise, yoga with meditation, definitely plays a role in both brain health as well as in physical health. There are a lot of recent talks about high intensity interval training, because people are very busy nowadays and they don't have time to run for a 10K or 21-kilometer half marathon, and they get real benefits in short time because they don't be on the road or in the treadmill for a longer time. So the upper body, they can choose between upper body, lower body, core, and cardio, depends upon what they want to do. And there are so many YouTube videos people learn, and there are so many trainers to talk about high intensity interval training, and it has real benefits. It will lose your weight without reducing your muscle mass, unlike your jogging or running, where you tend to lose muscles also. You burn more calories in a shorter time, and your heart becomes more healthy. Just like other physical activity, it increases the metabolism. You don't need any high funda equipments, like strength training in for this high intensity exercise. But there are advantages and disadvantages for each and every sports too. So to finish, the recommendation is you plan your exercise, rest adequately, eat well, and maintain a good social life for a better brain health. Because For maintaining a good cognition, you need every one of this, one of that. As I told before, at least maintain your schedule 3 times a week of aerobic, strength training for 2 to 3 times a week. Set long-term goals, whether you want to have become physically fit, you want to become younger, you want to become prevent so many diseases in the family like diabetes, stroke, cancer, and other things. You have, there are so many apps and devices now. You can monitor your physiological health, mental health. How about your heart rate? How is your sleeping duration? How happy you are? Your stress level. Many things are there in the app now. But as a word of caution, it's not only positive effects. There is also some negative. You have read about a marathoner who can have some effects on sudden death and sudden heart ailments if you don't discuss with your physician, with your doctors, whether you can start these activities one at a go. So always be careful about overtraining. Always be careful about you can't do the same performance over time while increasing your exercise load. So talk to your cardiologist, talk to your physician about if there is any change in your physical activities induced disturbances. So some may be asking questions how to start my walk or run. So this is a simple start to say you run for 1 minute, slow jogging. You keep on every week increase a minute and keep reducing your walk. You do 3 repeats. Gradually, you will become a trained runner in the longer run. Thank you.
Thank you,
Dr.
sir.
Anuradha?
Yes, sir.
For the excellent talk. Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Surya?
Yeah, you are not audible that time. That's why I was just.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Satish, for the excellent talk. So it's not just feeling younger or looking younger. What we understand is by his talk that our system becomes more younger. So the brain preventing stroke so many times. I think this is the best method. Instead of people start eating turmeric, they start using all kinds of Ayurvedic thing. The first and foremost and the easiest way and a known way, scientifically known way to prevent these neurological diseases, as Satish said, is to simply exercise and for at least 1 hour and spread the exercise throughout. Most of us feel fitness is that I have seen a lot of people coming to the gym or exercising for 1 hour and the whole day they are sitting and not doing anything, or they have a maid, they have a cook, and they have so many people to help them in their daily chores. So being fit or doing exercises, doing all these things, and you are fit to take care of your own needs, that you can manage everything on your own. You don't require people to help you in your daily chores. So all these things help you in preventing the neurological diseases, as Satish said. Okay, thank you, and I hand over the session to Dr. Chandrasekhar. Sir, over to you.
Dr. Satish and Anuradha Suryanarayan. I think we had before we go to the next talk, अगला जो टॉक है बहुत दोनों ने, डॉक्टर जॉर्ज ने और डॉक्टर सतीश ने बहुत अच्छे से बताया इम्पोर्टेंस एक्सरसाइज का। लोगों का एक हमेशा जब एडवाइस करते हैं लोगों को, तो ये भी बहुत जरूरी है जानना कि जो न्यूरोलॉजिस्ट है देश के, वो खुद भी फॉलो करते कि लोगों को सिर्फ एडवाइस नहीं कि आप ये करो, आप वो करो, आप एक्सरसाइज करो, आप रन करो, वॉक करो। तो मैं ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि न्यूरोलॉजिस्ट जो है देश के, वो खुद फॉलो करते, खुद उनका एक लाइफस्टाइल है कि जो रेगुलर एक्सरसाइज करना। दूसरा, लोगों का हमेशा एक कमेंट होता है कि हमको समय नहीं मिलता एक्सरसाइज करने के लिए। ये हमेशा लोगों की एक ये रहती है। तो समय आप ढूंढिए, क्योंकि ये आपके हेल्थ के लिए बहुत जरूरी है। हेल्थ समय निकालिए, क्योंकि ये इससे आपको एक तो एक्सरसाइज फ्री है, एक टोटली फ्री है। आपको वॉक करना है, रन करना है, तो ये फ्री है। दूसरा ऐसा है कि आपका उससे सेविंग हो जाएगा। सेविंग इसलिए होगा कि मेडिसिन का खर्चा बच जाएगा, फिर बाद में हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन का खर्चा बच जाएगा, यू विल बिकम मोर यंगर। तो इसलिए एक्सरसाइज बहुत जरूरी है। हमारे एक क्लासमेट है, वो जब क्लिनिक है तो उनका घर करीब 5-6 किलोमीटर दूर है। तो रोज शाम को वो घर तक गाड़ी जो है वो ड्राइवर के साथ भेज देते हैं और वो खुद घर तक चलते जाते हैं। तो जब भी आपको समय नहीं मिलता है, आपको फाइंड आउट करना है कि एक्सरसाइज कब करना है, जैसे भी जहां भी समय मिले तब उस टाइम एक्सरसाइज करो। तो ये बहुत अच्छा सेशन हो गया और काफी सारे लोगों के कमेंट्स और क्वेश्चंस आएंगे, हम उसको बाद में वो आंसर करेंगे। डॉक्टर जॉर्ज और डॉक्टर सतीश और ये जो पैनल है, डॉक्टर सूर्य नारायण और अनुराधा, सब ये बहुत एक्टिव है एक्सरसाइज का इम्पोर्टेंस बताने के लिए। और अभी अपने साथ है डॉक्टर मनीष महाजन। तो डॉक्टर मनीष महाजन को मैं अभी इनवाइट करता हूं, वो कुछ आपको वीडियो दिखाएंगे। डॉक्टर मनीष।
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. Hi, Satish, and hello everyone. It's a very nice forum, and thanks for inviting me. This is a small project by all young brigade who believe in music and brain health. So the title for this National Brain Week is My Health, My Responsibility. So spreading the positivity. One of my colleagues, this was a call by Dr. Nirmal Surya sir that we need to come together. So this is something which the video which I'm going to play is just has been formed in you can say less than 4 hours. So this recording has been there. So can I share my screen? Yeah.
Yes, you can please share your screen, and along with that, okay,
so
can you
is
play?
my screen is visible to everyone?
Yeah.
So
is there an audio to the video?
yeah. So is that an audio not?
Yes. So, sir, what will happen? Sorry.
Yeah.
So what you will have to do is where you have shared your screen from, at the same place, are you getting the option of new share now?
Yeah.
So just click on that, and where you have the blue share button, at the same level on the left hand side, you have share computer sound or share sound. You can check that and then share.
I have checked that.
Yes. Now can you play also?
Is this audible now?
Yes, sir. You can increase the
Increase
volume
the
of
volume.
your laptop.
कुछ पाने की हो आस आस, कोई अरमा हो जो खास खास आशाएं, हर कोशिश में हो बार बार कर दरियाओं को आर पार आशाएं, तूफानों को छीन के मंजिलों को छीन ले, आशाएं खिले दिल की, उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की, अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी, नहीं कुछ भी, आशाएं खिले दिल की, उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की, अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी, नहीं कुछ भी। जाए लेके खुशी अपने संग तुझको वहाँ, जन्नत से मुलाकात हो, पूरी हो तेरी हर दुआ, आशाएं खिले दिल की, उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की, अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी, नहीं कुछ भी। आशाएं खिले दिल की, उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की। अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी, नहीं कुछ भी। गुजरे ऐसी हर रात रात हो, ख्वाहिशों से बात बात आशाएं लेकर सूरज से आग आग गाए जा अपना राग राग आशाएं। कुछ ऐसा करके दिखा, खुद खुश हो जाए खुदा। आशाएं खिले दिल की, उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की। अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी, नहीं कुछ भी। आशाएं खिले दिल की, उम्मीदें हंसे दिल की। अब मुश्किल नहीं कुछ भी, नहीं कुछ भी।
Hope it was audible.
Yeah, it was very good. Thank you, Manish. बहुत मजा आया.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. This is Sankalp is in Mumbai, so he shared this video, and the audio was mixed later on. So we have joined hands across country. We have done this for MS Day also this year. Neurologist across India. So that's on the Indian Academy of Neurology website. So as Satish is for exercise, we are for music. So
I thank you, Manish.
Thank you,
Manish,
sir.
I thank
Thanks
you
for
very
the
much.
opportunity. Thank you, sir.
It is in a very short time. Sumit said that they will do it something for today's
so
music
Dr. Sumit
session.
and give me the
I hope you take the Music Academy to the future at a bigger level.
Thank you.
And Shantala
Thank
will
you,
inspire you. You listen to Shantala afterwards. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Next talk is by Dr. Shantala, who is introducing Dr. Anuradha, or
I will introduce her.
Okay. Dr. Nirmal Surya to introduce Dr. Shantala.
I thought you will be able to. So Shantala Hegde is a neuropsychologist working in Niemens as a professor in clinical psychology. Her special interest has been music and brain. She has got so many awards, and for past 10 years, I have known her to work at various levels. In fact, she has been selected in one of the projects at UK, and she has delivered so many lectures. She is been at the moment working with team of Dr. Pramod Paul on dementia, and also she has been working with music therapy on with schizophrenia. So I present you Shantala Hegde. She's been a dynamic musician herself and been working in the field of music and brain. Shantala.
Thank you so much, sir. It's always a pleasure, Dr. Nirmal sir, and his enthusiasm and his teamwork. It's always so contagious. Thank you very much for having me in this program, and I extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Mishram sir and all the senior members of the IAN for having me over. Just share my screen and start my talk. So I think the stage has been set so well in terms of talking about exercise, the relationship between exercise and autonomic system, and the relationship between autonomic system and the brain functions. And also the previous speakers touched upon yoga. In fact, now we're going to talk about nada. That's from the Indian perspective, music. And there has been a long tradition of nada yoga as well. But I also extend my warm welcome and many thanks to the audience, perhaps those who are having certain neurological conditions or caregivers of neurological conditions, or general public across lifespan. So I'll try to touch upon points that might be relevant to each one of you, and happy to introduce this topic itself from a different perspective, because music, when I say generally, music touches everyone, everybody's life. You get up in the morning, you have an alarm, then you have that has music, you kind of put on the radio or your own music system, or Suprabhatam in the South India, or some shlokas in the morning. Then you're driving to office, you have music in your, perhaps in your car. You're in a shopping mall, there's music around. So it's like you switch on the television, there's jingles. So you cannot perhaps imagine your life without music. So it's so universal. It permeates literally almost all our activities, starting from mother singing a lullaby to a baby, to an elderly person listening to his or her favorite songs and recollecting their past, reliving their life, and memorable moments of their lives. It's definitely an exquisite form of art, and that's another reason why in the field of neuroscience, or in the field of science itself, music was more or less kind of thought of as a social cultural phenomena. I hope in the next 15 minutes or so, I'll try to impress upon all your audience that music is much more than a cultural phenomena. Of course it is so, and an art form, but also it is so biological in nature, and it has power to impact our brain functions, and it can impact our overall health. So it's definitely a refined form of human culture. It's not something that emerged yesterday, day before, a few years, or a couple of years ago from an evolutionary point of view. It has a strong basis in the development of mind and human culture itself, so to say. And yes, if we ask what is music, or what does music do to you, I'm sure almost all of you will say it is a powerful elicitor of emotion. When I listen to music, I feel relaxed, I feel calm, or I would like to express something through music. I hum a song, I feel good, or so it can manipulate basically with your emotional experiences. And as I said, music is so old that it's not just the pre-modern, like the human, but it was existing even in the pre-modern era, human era. So there are archaeological evidences to say that music existed in Neanderthals, that is about 32,000, 40,000 years ago. So it's not something that emerged as a socio-cultural phenomena. It's of course universal. It's present in all cultures. As I said, musical features have universal phenomena, just like language. So for scientists and neurologists, neuropsychologists, music becomes an interesting point to understand the brain function itself. And these are some of the examples to show that perhaps music even predated language development. Of course, it's like the chick and the hen kind of question. We may never be able to really give a strong answer. But what we know today is, even pre-modern, like 40,000 years ago, humans did build instruments. We may not have fossils of our vocal cords. I'm sure singing was also part of our human race. But the interesting point here is, what role does it play? Basically, it's not just for entertainment. If it was just for entertainment, I'm sure there are so many other activities that can compete. But even today, music, generating music, producing music, singing in group is considered to be one of the most important social behavior. So it's something that's important as a biological phenomena and not just a cultural phenomena. Another important point is one must remember when we talk about from brain. Yesterday, the senior professors did talk about the brain, the neurons, so many billions of neurons, the connections between the neurons, and how important is this different brain areas that are engaged in different kinds of functions. So when you talk about movement of the hand, there's a particular area in the brain. When you talk about attention, there's a particular area in the brain that gets activated. So today we have a technology which can tell us, okay, this area of the brain or group of areas interact with each other for a particular behavior. So similarly, when we talk about music, we kind of take it for granted. We listen to music, we sing music, we enjoy music. But if you look at it from the brain point of view, the brain is very, very like a smart computer, supercomputer. What it does is basically process different features of music, engaging different areas of the brain. Now, what do I mean by features of the music? It means when you listen to a song like Asha, just you heard as just a while ago, there is beat in it, there is rhythm in it, then there is lyrics in it, there is harmony in it. If the singer went off tune, then you'll say, oh, there was some off tune there. Or the emotion behind that song. What was the singer's voice? How was it? The timbre, or was there a sitar, or was there a flute, or was there another instrument? So the timbre, or the meaning of the song itself, and rhythm, the meter. So was it 3-beat meter, 2-beat meter? Some people who have learned music may process it little more differently, but even those who have not learned music will process all these information. So in fact, what we neuroscientists, neuropsychologists consider is all neurologically intact individuals, humans, are musical in nature. So if you say, no, I don't know music, I'm not good with music, it basically means you must have not learned music. That's fine. But I'm sure you'll be able to pick up a wrong tone, or, oh, this is not okay. There is a, the singer was amateurish, or this is a professional singer. So you have the ability to process the quality of the music. Now, interesting thing is, all these features are processed in different areas of the brain. So the earlier theory that, oh, you are more mathematical, or your language is left and music is right, that theory holds no good anymore, because music is one such thing. I will show you in the next slides that all these features are processed in different areas of the brain. Now, this is a slide to basically highlight this point that I made just a few minutes ago, that there are different areas of the brain assigned for certain functions. So it works like in a harmony, like the same example that I give, like in a concert or in a symphony. You may have a symphony written for a flute concert or a violin concert, but it's just not violin or flute, right? You'll have other accompanying artists who will support this main lead artist. Similarly, in the brain, there are certain areas that take the lead for certain functions, but there are also other functions that support this particular area. Now, let me give an example. So when we say in certain neurological conditions, like say dementia, there is memory issues that you might see. This person starts forgetting where I kept my keys, I forget what I had for breakfast, or what did I do yesterday. So there are areas like deeper inside your brain called hippocampus or the temporal region, which play an important role. But to recollect something more, if I ask, can you tell me names of all birds, for example, names of different birds, then you engage a different area of the brain and recollect this part of engaging the memory center. So it's like a symphony. It is not just one area, but a group of areas that come together, and it performs like in a symphony. So similarly, when it comes to music and the brain functions, the key feature, yesterday, I think Dr. Nirmal Surya also mentioned, and Meshram sir also mentioned, one of the very unique and the very core nature of the human brain is what we call as neural plasticity or brain plasticity. And what previous speakers also mentioned about exercise and impact on brain functions is basically something that you do repeatedly, an activity or any experiences that happens repeatedly changes the way the brain functions. And it's not just the symphony that I'm talking about, but the strength of the symphony, the interaction between these different centers of the brain gets strengthened. So to give you another simple example, so because this is for general public. Let's say you have many friends on Facebook, you're on social media, you kind of connect to your school friends whom you have not met for in the last couple of years, but then suddenly you connect through friends of friends and friends of friends. And then suddenly you decide to have a meet, a reunion of school classmates. Then you connect again with a few members of your school batchmates, and then the relationship strengthens. Same thing happens with your brain. As I mentioned, let's say attention or memory or your working memory, like the RAM of the computer, you keep activating it, the particular areas interconnected to that gets strengthened. So the key thing in neuropsychology that we say is use it or lose it. So if you don't keep using your brain, different brain centers, you lose it. And the neurons, this connection of neurons that activate together, wire together. So that means if you don't meet your friends over time, you lose contact and then lose the relationship. But if you keep repeatedly meeting this friend, being in touch with this friend, your relationship gets stronger. It's the same analogy that I can give. Another key thing about music, as I said, is that it activates the entire brain at one go. That's the beauty of music. The reason being, all these features, as I mentioned, the song, the pitch, the lyrics, the emotion. So you cannot have musical experience without the emotional experience. If you're trained in music formally, then you start learning the sargams, or if you're trained in Western classical, then you read the musical script. So there is visual area that gets activated. And when you listen to a song, like I was just now, it become like an earworm, Aashai Khile Dil Ki. Then you're also tapping your hand or you're tapping your leg to the rhythm. That means you're activating your motor system, the cerebellum, the basal ganglia, and the prefrontal area, which are all crucial for other brain functions, not just for musical processing, but other cognitive functions. I'll come to that a little later. But here, in this particular image, what I'm trying to highlight is music is today considered not just a socio-cultural phenomena, but it's a core, hardcore biological phenomena that has been passed on from generations, 40,000, or little more. Over the generation, and it's still continuing. That means there is a very core biological role for music in our lives. And one of the theories that how we understand is that it is one of the best cognitive exercise that you can think of, because either passively listening to music or actively engaging in music would activate your entire brain area. And you are basically tapping on this very core characteristic of the human brain, that's neural plasticity, and keeping yourself in brain sense young and healthy. Okay, so let me briefly take you through the different networks, as we say, this different connections, as I said. Definitely, it's an auditory stimulation. So when you listen to music, your auditory pathway gets activated. And these auditory pathways closely related to emotion. So first, understanding the musical feature. You may know it with full knowledge if you're a trained person. Even if you're an untrained person, you do remember the lyrics, you do remember the tune. You can perhaps sometimes even match, this tune is similar to some other song that I heard, or this lyrics is so very close to my heart. So your syntactical processing, auditory processing, those areas of the brain gets activated. And episodic memory. So certain songs, memories, which you have learned in your younger days, I don't think you'll ever forget. So that's true of conditions like dementia. Today we know that even if they forget several other knowledge, semantic knowledge, factual knowledge, if you make them sing a song, or if you make them play some instrument that they were familiar with, or play the favorite music, their autobiographical memory activation happens. And that's one of the therapies that psychologists do in reminiscence therapy, that musical emotions are so strongly embedded that knowledge related to musical memory are much, much stronger, and it's immune for degenerative conditions. And of course, the motor network, like playing, singing, your movement of the body, there's entrainment that happens. So for example, exercise, the previous speakers highlighted on walking, jogging, running. Importantly, many people will put on music as well. You ask many, they would prefer songs that would have rhythm, which is a little faster, because without your knowledge, the rhythm can entrain with your heartbeat. It can manipulate with your heart rate. So music can actually manipulate with your autonomic system. And so kind of music, the feature of music, the songs that you listen to is very, very important. And most importantly, we'll say music is addictive. Everybody likes music. We did a survey in our own OPD. Almost 90% of our patients say music is helpful. We would want it as therapy, or would think that it has therapeutic value. The reason is emotional connection. The reason, because it activates one area of the brain that's very crucial in reward system. That is, we feel joyful, we feel happy, and it also engages, leads to secretion of certain hormones, neurotransmitters, that is secretion in the brain that has positive benefits like endorphins. These are natural painkillers. So in many pain conditions, neuropathic pain conditions, where we use distraction as a method, music can be a powerful method. And also in several conditions, music can have an impact on their calming effect. So many patients who show irritability, changes in their personality because of the condition. It could be stroke, it could be Parkinson's, where they have emotional deficits in emotional processing. Musical emotion can be used as an alternate method. And dopamine, so it releases dopamine, which again has positive benefits. So cortisol, it reduces the stress levels, so it has multiple benefits. And therefore music is considered as one of the honest signal of emotional and cognitive flexibility. And that's one of the reason why the scientists are today saying that it's almost competing with language functions, and it almost takes the same area as the language areas. It has unique plus shared language areas. So the key thing is, with neural plasticity, of course, if you practice music, if you have musical training, please do engage in some activity. I reiterate the point that my previous speaker spoke, that it's not just one activity that you do and then just sit quietly and say my health will be fine. We need to engage in activities that can have overall benefit, and do multiple activities. As I said, use it or lose it. And those areas that wire together, the fire together and wire together. So it's not just music alone, but other activities also. Like yesterday, some people spoke about Sudoku or crosswords, or doing multiple activities, activating different areas of the brain is very, very important. And why music is powerful? As I said, it kind of is powerful in activating almost all areas of your brain, and transfer, but also far transfer that we know of today. In research studies that we say, over time, people who have been trained in music have different structure, changes in their brain structure itself, such as in auditory area, in the prefrontal area, the area that connects the two hemispheres of the brain, the corpus callosum, even instruments, if they are playing the piano or if they are singing. So depending on the nature of musical engagement, similar structural and functional changes have been shown. I'll quickly show our audience one simple example. I'll play an audio clip. I want all of you to listen to it carefully, okay? This is a sentence, a voice that you will hear. I want you to listen to it carefully.
The sounds as they appear to you are not only different from those that are really present, but they sometimes behave so strangely as to seem quite impossible.
I hope all of you heard it. Should I play it again? I'll play it once more. Please listen to it carefully, okay?
The sounds as they appear to you are not only different from those that are really present, but they sometimes behave so strangely as to seem quite impossible.
Now I'm going to play one more clip. I want you to listen to it carefully now.
The sounds as they appear to you are not only different from those that are really present, but they sometimes behave so strangely as to seem quite impossible. But they sometimes behave so strangely. They sometimes behave so strangely. 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 sometimes behave so strangely, so strangely, so strangely, so strangely, so strangely.
Now I want you to listen to the first clip again, okay? And see the difference yourself.
The sounds as they appear to you are not only different from those that are really present, but they sometimes behave so strangely as to seem quite impossible.
So it was just an example about repetition in speech leading to a feeling of musical performance. So the phrase sometimes behaves so strangely just because we repeated it several times and we highlighted on the prosody, that means inflection, the changes that we do in our voice modulation. And then you start perceiving the rhythm there, or you start perceiving the musical aspect in language. Now, this is one of the classic example by Diana Deutsch, one of the pioneers in the field of neuroscience of music and cognition, who has done a lot of work on illusions, speech and music illusions, sound illusions. And this is one of the experiments that she did. In fact, the third and the fourth audio clip I'll play, and you will, this is basically, she extended the experiment on a group of students in her college, and some group of students heard the repeated version, and the other group did not hear the repeated version. Now you will know which group heard the repeated version and the group that did not hear, and they were asked to sing or speak out the same phrase again, record the same phrase, and this is a group average of those audio clips. Okay.
Sometimes you behave so strangely. Sometimes you behave so strangely.
So the first group that heard was the group that actually heard the repeated version, and the second group did not hear the repeated version. This was one of the example of also short-term neural plasticity. That means I haven't changed anything. All that you did was you heard that repetition, and then subsequently when you heard the first clip, the way you processed it was something different. So sometimes behave so strangely became quite musical and not impossible. So if just the last few minutes, I'll quickly take you through how music and neurological conditions and how it impacts, because as I said, any neurological condition also impacts the brain areas and the brain functions. For example, if you take Parkinson's disease, there's a core area, the basal ganglia, that gets affected. If you say stroke, then depending on which area of the brain is implicated, the arteries that is implicated, then you know what are the cognitive deficits that go hand in with that condition. Or there are conditions like degenerative condition, frontotemporal dementia, or semantic dementia, or Alzheimer's type, specific areas of the brain gets affected. So depending on the area that gets affected, there is associated cognitive deficits, behavioral changes that occur, and quality of life is something that gets affected. And along with the patient themselves, it's also the caregivers who go through a lot of burden. And in neurological conditions, even listening to music in conditions like stroke has shown to have benefits. So there has been double-blind randomized controlled trial where listening to music has shown to improve not just cognition like working memory, verbal memory, but also their mood, because many a times patients who have had stroke may end up having secondary depression, and that can, as I said, impact their quality of life, have a spillover effect on the feelings of burden by the caregivers. And studies have also shown that listening to music, their own favorite music, can not just bring about these changes, but also structural changes in the brain. Okay, I'll not go into the details of the studies, the technical aspects. I'm sure many people will ask me questions about, often ask about ragas. But what I have got to say from the studies that I have done in my lab is that yes, there are different schools of thought in music therapy, but it's also important to remember that the common denominator in the Indian ragas, the classical system, is peace and spiritual experiences. So many of our patients, when I work with the clinical neurological conditions, many ask, why me? Why this to me in this, what is the meaning of life? What am I supposed to do? How am I going to handle it? Because many of these conditions are irreversible, which means you're fighting, you cannot fight against nature. You only have to make that journey smooth for that patient. So often with Indian classical music, I would say rather than saying this raga affects that condition, that raga affects condition. I don't think we have enough research studies to prove that at this point in time. But all that I can say is it depends on the features of music, which alap or which phase of the raga elaboration that you're considering, who is the artist, what makes you feel good. I think we should start with that from listening. And then if you're having a chance to learn music, please do, because actively engaging in music has a beneficial effect. And singing or any Indian traditions will start with Om. So even reciting Om in a certain pitch, maintaining the pitch, not only affects your breathing, has impact on your breathing, but what it has shown is it calms you down. The areas of the brain that gets activated because of fear or anger or negative emotions, those areas are more calmed down. And the prefrontal cortex, which is very important in higher cognitive thinking, gets activated. So there is the right balance that happens when you're doing such exercises, singing or practicing music. So that's very, very important. And as I said, music, listening to music and engaging in music, releases certain hormones and neurotransmitters that have positive benefits on your overall health. It brings down the stress levels. It increases oxytocin, which has more connection with empathy. When we listen to music, even sad music, we are engaging that area of the brain that helps us to connect with another human being. I think that's very, very important in conditions where we know we don't have an answer to it, but we can make the person's present life more comfortable. So coming to the crux of music therapy, I would like to give one crucial point. Music therapy is evidence-based. It is a structured intervention that needs to be delivered by a trained clinician. But music is therapeutic. So it's universal. So everybody engages in music. It's just that you need to be a little more mindful about what kind of music you're engaging with, rather than just listening to any random music that is played currently, like say, for example, on radio or television. So one is very important to observe your own emotional condition and what songs makes you feel calm down. Often instrumental music like flute, which is more closer to pure tones, can have more positive benefits. Even songs with good lyrics can have positive benefits. But ultimately, what you're doing by engaging in music is you're activating your brain. You're basically engaging, making your brain more plastic in making it more, you're giving that exercise to the brain, basically. And when I talk about the word therapy, then it's just to be delivered by a clinician with specific purpose. So when I say therapy, I will look into certain techniques in music therapy where I would like to work on a person's speech, language, or motor functions, or cognitive functions. That is to be done by a clinician. I know that there is dearth of trained music therapists in the country or even neuropsychologists in the country, but it's very important that you go and seek the right help. But until then, there's no harm in engaging in music. So the take-home message will be engage in music. There is no, earlier we used to think our intelligence, the psychologists, put forth the theory that after 18 or 20, your IQ is not going to improve. We don't worry about the IQ score. But today what we know is this phenomenon of neural plasticity is true even until your deathbed. Neurogenesis, that is this growth of new neurons, happen even till your end. So there's no end to new learning. If you're having an opportunity to go to a music class, engaging in social group singing like bhajans, they will have positive benefit on your overall mental health, not just your brain functions, but your social functions, emotional functions, even to caregivers. I think that's very, very important. And I end here, sir. Thank you.
थैंक यू डॉक्टर शांतला, आपने बहुत अच्छे से समझाया म्यूजिक का इम्पोर्टेंस, और आपने ये भी बताया कि म्यूजिक और एक्सरसाइज, आज के जो दोनों विषय हैं वो साथ में कर सकते हैं. आप वॉक कर रहे हैं और आप जॉगिंग कर रहे हैं, रनिंग कर रहे हैं, तो साथ में हो सकता है. दूसरी इम्पोर्टेंट चीज है कि म्यूजिक सुनने के बाद आपको हमेशा आनंद मिलता है, आप बहुत हैप्पी फील करते हैं. आप मूवी देखते हैं तो कभी कभी कुछ लोग इमोशनल हो जाते हैं, रोने लगते हैं, सीरियल देखते हैं तो रोने लगते हैं. गाना सुनने के बाद कोई रोता नहीं है, हमेशा खुशी होती है. तो या कोई म्यूजिक का पीस सुनने के बाद में हमेशा खुशी होती है, और पूरा जो ब्रेन है वो उसमें एक्टिवेट हो जाता है, एक पॉजिटिव एनर्जी जनरेट होती है, और पूरे ब्रेन को और ब्रेन हेल्थ को इम्प्रूवमेंट के लिए वो एक अच्छा बहुत साधन इम्पोर्टेंट है। और कोई भी एज बार नहीं है। हमारे एक मित्र है, डॉक्टर मित्र सीनियर है यहाँ के ऑप्थेल्मोलॉजिस्ट, तो 75 इयर्स में अभी उन्होंने म्यूजिक क्लास ज्वाइन किया है एट द एज ऑफ 75। सो कोई भी उम्र में आप म्यूजिक सीख सकते हैं। तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। ऑडियंस के कुछ क्वेश्चंस है, उनकी इंटरेक्शन है, तो वो जाने के पहले मैं ये बता दूं कि कल का सेशन भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। और कल डॉक्टर सुधीर कोठारी जो पुणे से है, वो वर्टिगो स्पेशलिस्ट है, जिसको हम बोलते हैं चक्कर। तो चक्कर क्यों आते हैं? बहुत कॉमन प्रॉब्लम है चक्कर का, लोगों को चक्कर आते रहते हैं। तो वो आपको चक्कर के बारे में एडवाइस करेंगे। डॉक्टर देवाशीष चौधरी जो दिल्ली से हैं, वो हेडेक स्पेशलिस्ट है। तो सिर दर्द क्यों होता है और उसको कैसे प्रिवेंट करना है, उसके बारे में आपको जानकारी देंगे। और डॉक्टर ऋषिकेश कुमार जो कलकत्ता से है, तो आज के जो स्पीकर्स थे हमारे साउथ से थे, कल वेस्ट, नॉर्थ और ईस्ट से स्पीकर्स रहेंगे। तो डॉक्टर ऋषिकेश कुमार गेट इम्बैलेंस के बारे में आपको बताएंगे। तो कल का सेशन भी 6 बजे चालू होगा। अभी कुछ ऑडियंस के कुछ क्वेश्चंस और इंटरेक्शन है, तो वो भी हम ले लेते हैं।
Yes, sir. So, thank you. It was a very nice session from Dr. Shantala Hegde. We learnt a lot actually about music and brain. I'm sure everybody in the audience enjoyed her talk. I think Dr. Jacob had answered most of the questions, but for the benefit of audience, Dr. Jacob, are you there?
Yeah, very much here.
Yeah. See, actually, I just want to take some of the important questions. First thing is, how a COPD patient or a ischemic heart disease patient we can advise them to do exercise.
I think it should be best done under the guidance of his treating doctor.
Yeah.
But I think low intensity exercises like slow walking or swimming can be advised. It overall improves the lung function only. So I think best thing is to discuss with the treating chest physician.
If we go by International Heart Association guidelines, what they say is angioplasty karne ke baad, especially after 3 weeks, they recommend to do a low intensity exercise, and after 3 months definitely they can do a high intensity exercise. And as you rightly said, it's under a supervision. So don't try to do something which is not which is risky. So that's why if anybody who is above 50 years, if they are taking up a high intensity exercise, they have to undergo a medical check. That's mandatory actually. Otherwise, if somebody is going to do a high intensity activity and suddenly they may develop some problem. So doing more is also not very good. And second thing is about exercise and reversed aging. If you see, definitely if you do more exercise, aging gets reversed. Dr. Nirmal Surya himself is a good example of that. If you see, last 8 months he has run or even done a brisk walk of more than 1,000 kilometers. So he has lost almost 11 kgs of weight. So in fact, we are actually surprised to see his new photos in Facebook. Even the same holds good to Dr. Jacob George, Anu, or Satish, or even myself. So definitely you do more exercise, more physical activity, you remain younger. So that is the key message. And another question is whether the running damages knee joint. I just want Dr. Jacob or Anuradha to take it up. Dr. Anuradha, what's your view?
No, not at all. It is a myth. So there are a lot of papers which have come out where they're saying that it in fact reduces the risk of OA as well as osteoporosis and hip OA. So there are several papers to say that hip OA reduces, the running reduces the incidence of hip osteoarthritis very significantly, statistically significantly, and knee osteoarthritis, it's more of genetic thing rather than running. No, it's a big myth that people think that, so it is the problem with a lot of orthopedician friends. So they keep asking us, I really don't know. I had to literally show some papers to them. They keep asking, when is your knee transplant? When are you coming for a knee transplant? So no, it's a myth.
Yeah. The next question is about sleep hygiene. Dr. Jacob, can you tell what is the usual sleep hygiene any one of us should have?
Sleep hygiene refers to probably sleeping at the same time of the day and waking up at the same time of the day. To maintain that sleep schedule same throughout life. That's the best thing to do. Some people sleep very much late overnight and wake up very much late. But some days they will have to sleep very early. That is not good. That is not good sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
And I also believe that it is always better to get up with the sun and go down with the sun. That means go early to bed and get up, just before the sun rises. Scientifically, it is proven that, those are the people who are healthier on a longer time. Those people who sleep very late, they tend to have a lot of diseases.
Yeah, that is what is happening to the younger generation. They sleep
Yes,
late,
yes.
wake up late.
Yeah. No, they feel that sleeping for 8 hours at any time is fine. So if you ask them how many hours you're sleeping, they will say we'll sleep from morning 8 to afternoon 2.
And avoiding
which is not
avoiding caffeine and reducing the screen time, especially looking at mobile or something after 10
when you're
o'clock.
sleeping.
It's not correct. I see most of my clinic patients who are youngsters, they say insomnia, but if you look at the history, parents will say till 1:30 they'll be in the Facebook or WhatsApp. So that is the common thing. And morning 9:30 or 10 o'clock they get up, because of the COVID situation, most of them are in either online classes or things like that. So physical, in fact, in my experience, middle-aged and older people are more health concerned, and they are more fitness oriented than youngsters. So I strongly suggest, especially whatever media, either social media or print media or press media, I think they should do a campaign, especially for the youngsters, teenagers and youngsters, because they are the real, they are the treasure, or they are the real gem of the society. So they have to, take up fitness very seriously. Dr.
There are a lot of youngsters who will come and say that I am on calcium supplements, I am on this supplement, that supplement. And if you ask mainly, housewives, they absolutely they have no time for working out. They'll say, I'm so tired working at home, which is like, if you compare the previous generations, their own, grandparents, none of them would have taken calcium and vitamins. They would have been working hard, eating well, and doing all the routines properly.
Even the sun exposure is very less.
Yes, yes.
So definitely, the bones are not going to have any strength. That's another problem. And Dr. Shantala,
To the software engineers and
yeah.
So they come with aches and pains and so many physical problems quite early.
Correct, yes. Sir. Correct. Dr. Shantala, you have any advice to our neurologists on how to take up? Suppose somebody wants to have an interest in music, suppose. So what do you suggest? How somebody should start taking up?
How do I say? So each one will have some insight into what they like. Some may think they're good with singing. Some may be interested in some instruments. So just like in children, when we put them into musical training, we let them choose what they like and not force yourself. So any form of music should be good. One. Second, I would definitely, although I'm a musician myself and I am here to talk on music, but as a neuropsychologist, what I'll say is music is activity. If you're not interested in music, you really don't want to train, listen to music, but engage in other activities. It could be like exercise, it could be yoga, it could be social interaction. What you're rightly saying, people engage in WhatsApp and social media, but really not meet people in person. So psychological health is also equally important as much as we are talking about neurological and brain health. And that's so much true with youngsters, younger generation. Later in life, they'll come and say, how do I change my lifestyle? It doesn't happen overnight. So when we talk about cognitive reserve in elderly, as a prophylaxis for degenerative condition, those things should start at a younger age. So I keep telling my patients, if you're interested to learn shlokas, for example, please do. Memorize those things, memorize some prayers, or as important as going to bed and getting up on time is important. Certain mental exercises, keeping yourself calm, thinking positive, taking things as they come, all these things, what we call as mental health, positive mental health exercises are equally important for overall psychological, neurological, overall health. And music can add to it. Because in my own experiments, what we found was listening to instrumental music, like classical music. Many youngsters said, I never listened to it. I don't like listening to it. But when we put them EEG and we recorded it, we found that they also experience such tranquil state akin to like meditative state, which means music has the power to impact your neurological entire functioning. Like if you give a bitter medicine, you might say, I don't like the medicine, but it will have its impact on the physiology. So music has that power because of its frequency, feature, and everything. So yeah.
Thank you. I think
somebody also asked question, Surya Narayan.
Yes, sir.
What are the side effects? You do walking or running also here, and later on smoke cigarettes in the day later on.
Even I wanted to take that question.
Yeah, Anurada, you can.
No. It is like.
See, I would say in this way, we need to be healthy and have a good, lifestyle. Lifestyle is more important. I would say somebody having, either 3 or 4 glasses of beer after running, we wouldn't advocate that. Even lifestyle is equally important or even more important than running and exercise. So we all know smoking is bad. We all know alcohol in excess quantities is bad. So nobody can recommend that. And just because we have run, we can't take that as an excuse to drink or smoke. So let's cultivate a positive lifestyle.
Yeah, so that whatever benefit you get out of exercise or running or walking in the morning, because of smoking later, that is all negated.
Yeah, actually, there are 1 or 2 instances in Bangalore wherein youngsters who are into this film industry. I still remember 5 years back, one young guy who was a film actor. Actually, he was a budding film actor. He wanted to have a 6-pack. So he had a target, 6-pack and 6 packs. 6-pack means he had to go for a 6-pack abdomen. And 6 packs means every day he used to smoke 6 packs of cigarettes. 3 months later, he presented with a massive interval MI, and he came to our hospital, and he couldn't be revived. He was just 23 years. There was a single clot in the left anterior descending artery, and he was dead. And that came in newspaper in most of the newspapers in Bangalore, I think 5 years back. So we strongly, recommend people to quit smoking and then take up these habits. Suppose if somebody is smoking, they want to become reformed smoker, please get your, health check done. Either do a treadmill test or something. You have to do a health check and then only please get into. Don't involve any high intensity physical activity. Respect your body. That is most important. See, I may not be able to run as fast as Jacob or Anuradha because everybody is different. It is like in 8th standard, suppose we are 60 students. Few would have become doctors, few would have become engineers, few would have become. They are all there for their intelligence level. They have gone into different areas. It is like that. Suppose if a running group has 100 members, not everybody is an athlete. Maybe 10 or 20 people may perform very well. Others may be average. So let's not compare others. But we need to respect our body and do what is needed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Excellent
example, Dr. Surya Narayan of a film star. So that answered that question very well.
I think now we have answered most of the questions, sir. As we are running out of time, some Dr. Jacob has already answered. if things are okay, may I close the session with your permission, sir?
Yeah, sure. I think I would like to thank today's speakers, Dr. Jacob George, Dr. Shantala Hegde, and Dr. Satish Kumar for excellent talks, and Dr. Surya Narayan, Dr. Anuradha for chairing the session. And also like to thank Dr. Manish Mahajan, who just stepped in at the 11th hour, and would like to thank Dr. J.M.K. Murthy, Dr. Nirmal Surya, and Dr. Gagandeep Singh for joining in the panel. Thank you very much. I think we had a very educative session and very informative, and people would like to watch again on this is live on YouTube, and those who have missed this session, they can visit and watch on the YouTube, and get the preventive aspects of the exercise and music into your daily life. Thank you very much. Thank you all. And see you
big
tomorrow.
Thanks to
Thank you,
Dr.
sir.
Chandrasekhar Meshram sir has taken a great effort. It is not easy, every day doing all 7 days, catching hold of so many speakers across the country and delivering things to the public. It's not an easy job. He has done it with passion and perseverance. We all should give a big hand to Dr. Chandrasekhar Meshram sir for his wonderful organization.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. Nirmal Surya, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shut the session.
Yeah, thank you, Mansi. Yes, we can close the session now.